Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Off-Grid Knives Rhino Elite. This is a big folding knife, the newer and larger version of the Off-Grid Knives Rhino. I really enjoyed the Rhino. This is a premium version, given, of course, the elite labeling, which is part of a more premium group of knives from Off-Grid Knives. And it absolutely is that. This knife is available in this form, which is kind of a champagne titanium, and then we have this gray PVD coated Magna Cut blade. They also have a blacked out version as well. I will link these knives down in the description. You guys can check them out if you want to. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to Off-Grid Knives for sending this in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. Let's go ahead and measure this knife. Not small. 9 1/4 inches, big by most people's standards. 4 inches for the blade length, and your cutting edge length is about 3.65. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. So you can see here up against my own Excalibur, bigger than the full-size model and quite a bit larger than the mini Excalibur here. Let's go ahead and put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue, and the Hogue Deca, bigger than both, obviously. And then finally, we'll put it up against the Spyderco PM2. Whoops, about dropped it again there. I don't know what it is about that knife lately. And the Spyderco Para 3. Once again, larger than both. How is the action on this knife? It's very, very good. The Off-Grid Knives company periodically has their knives made by a Taiwan OEM. That is not the case for all of their knives. In this case, I think in the past they've actually worked with WE as well. In this case, the OEM for this knife is Bestech out of China, which many of you know to be a very premium OEM, and they did an excellent job here. This knife very much makes me think of Zero Tolerance. Not in the, usually, like if ZT had made this knife, I think they probably would have made it thicker. But the way it flips, the way it looks, kind of falling in between that, it's obviously a premium knife, and that tactical kind of look kind of falls right there. And that's the case with a lot of off-grid stuff. And I like it. I think it looks really cool. It also flips that way. The detent strength here, let me show you. That's really nice. It's got a very metallic clanking sound in a good way as the blade goes into the closed position here. Oh boy, that is very nice. Flipper tab, you can push button it. It's rounded enough. I missed there and it didn't, the D10 is heavy. You can push button it. I think the light switch feels better either way. That detent brake is phenomenal, and lots of sound when it slams into that stop pin in the open position, which is tucked way back in there. But very, very good. You can also use the thumb studs to deploy it, which are also, they're great. I personally prefer the flipper tab on this knife, but reverse flicking or thumb flicking, it works just fine. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. This is actually not a thick knife. The thickness is actually almost identical to the Para 3. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This is where some people might find it a little bit tricky to carry without constantly paying attention to it. I think most people will be adapting to this if you're going to be putting this in your pocket. If you're used to carrying really, really big knives, knives that are near-ish the size of the AD10. Like this is kind of the general, it's not quite as thick, but like this, the amount of space that it takes up in your pocket, certainly more than the PM2. It's very tall, some people would say wide, but it's a very tall knife. So this is the kind of knife where you probably don't want anything else in your pocket except for this knife. Let's go ahead and weigh it. What are we looking at for materials? Like I said, in this case, we have the champagne titanium. We have a titanium backspacer, and we also have, I think, actually, a titanium pocket clip. Now, this pocket clip is not milled. It is a stamped clip. That's fine. A lot of people at this price point want a milled clip, and that's always a fair thing. This functionally is very, very good, if not slightly tight. but functionally it is a very good clip. But yeah, for those of you saying at that price it should be a milled clip, kind of in agreement there. Like, I like this clip functionally, but I wish that it was a milled clip. It does have the position to be mounted on the other side for left-handed carry. We have a MagnaCut blade, which we're going to return to and talk about here in just a little bit. The weight on this guy, oh, by the way, is there milling for weight reduction? Yes, there is. It's kind of hard to see in there, but there is actually some substantial milling for weight reduction. It still comes in at a whopping 7.1 ounces. I'm going to be honest with you, that's a real surprise. I thought it was going to come in at something like 6, but there's just a lot. I mean, there's just a lot of material here. So 7.1 ounces, well above what the average person is used to carrying for a just in terms of a pocket knife. Now, your balance is right about there in that index finger position, which might be why the weight's throwing me off of it a little bit. It is pretty well balanced. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use in this channel. I believe this is a T8. You know what? It's a T8. It has to be. T8 pivot. T8 lock bar insert screw. We have 3, for some reason, screws for the back spacer. Probably didn't need to do 3, but that's okay. At least they're all T8. Should be very easy to disassemble and put back together. As long as you have the right tools for the job, should be good to go. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness, and then we can move on into the meat and potatoes. Again, like I said, not very thick. I'm going to guess this is 130, 135 max. It's actually quite a bit less than 123 thousandths is what I'm looking at here. Okay, this is a much larger Rhino. Boy, is this a comfortable knife. The jimping extends way down. It's obviously supposed to, it looks like a rhinoceros horn kind of, right? This extends way down here and it's sloped. I have lock-in. I think it's just a little bit awkward having my thumb lean down the slope instead of like right here. But in this position, it complements the index finger well. If you need to choke up like this is a good resting spot for your thumb. And the jimping provides very good traction. I think it's just kind of odd having it like run down the slope, but it's not uncomfortable or anything like that. The edges are all completely and totally chamfered. It's extremely comfortable. I cannot stress that enough. The knife is just stupidly comfortable, and we have a nice little cutout here for the lock bar, so you're not having to pinch your finger in between that pretty narrow space right there. Back spacer, just nice and plain. Nothing wrong with that. I do like the texturing here. I think this is pretty meaningful. I mean, it does run the same way as your fingers, so like slippage back and forth this way, like a little bit because you run with those grooves. But as far as the knife like pulling forward or backwards out of your hand, probably not. It's pretty meaningful. I think there's advantages and disadvantages to texturing of all different types that go in all different directions. This is the gray PVD coated blade. There is a black one too. I think this one looks a little bit better, but that's going to be completely up to you. On one side, we have the off-grid logo here. On the other side, it says CPM MagnaCut. The actual cutting edge gets pretty darn thin. By the way, I'll let you guys take a look at that plunge grind. Lots and lots of life on that edge. Nice tip here, and yeah, this is definitely going to be a slicey performer without being too delicate, given the fact that it is MagnaCut. Very, very tall blade and a lot of blade to push through material, but I think, people really enjoy using this, mainly because it is such a huge object. If you like big knives, you like the EDC big knives, and you like flippers, I mean, this is great. We have lots and lots and lots of options. It's not that this knife is completely and totally unique, but as far as knives of this size, especially when they're tall, like the height of the knife is really tall, we have way fewer of these than we have, say, 7.5 to 7.75 inch knives that look a lot like the Bug Out. I mean, my God, do we have a lot of those. So people who have preferences that lie within larger knives are probably going to be happy to see stuff like this for sure. We do not have a lanyard hole, and I think that's pretty consistent with off-grid knives. Like, they just don't really, pay attention to that because it's not like people are beating down doors for lanyard holes, right? Their pocket clips always have 3 screws, and I've always found that to be a little bit overkill, but it's not necessarily a big deal. The pocket clip has some pretty high tension, but because that build just comes down and slips straight up, it's actually pretty easy to push this in and out of my pocket. Like, for example, today I'm in sweatpants. Not really a problem. If you have really, really thick pocket seams, you might find it just a little bit. There's not enough texturing there, and it's not tight enough to really cause too much of an issue. We have the stop pin located in its traditional spot. There's a ton of shouldering, and it does not contact, to my knowledge. Let's actually take, yeah. So this actually, you can see the stop pin there. It actually ends up being tucked underneath that lock face there. So it doesn't come anywhere near, I mean, it's back up, like it contacts under there. It doesn't come anywhere near the plunge grind here, so you don't have to worry about that ruining the lifespan of the edge over time, so that's good. There is absolutely no blade play up, down, left, or right. There is no lock stick. There's no double clutch. There's no pivot lash. It's very smooth and consistent in here. This is not a knife where, you know, the bearings are, you know, invisible or that you can't hear them. They're just normal, smooth bearings. That's, you know, I've tried to make that distinction a lot more here lately when I talk about incredible action. This is action that is to be expected at this price point. It is drop shut, but the bearings can still be felt and heard. Now this will diminish a little bit over time as they wear in. There's nothing wrong with that. There are no indentions or bumps or lumps in the pivot action. It's pretty much par for the course as far as what I expect from Bestech. The blade is also, is it slightly off? Let's try to adjust that pivot real quick and see if perhaps over the couple hundred times that I flipped this, because it is really fun to flip. I have sat here and flipped it, and for the time that I carried it, I definitely got it out and flipped it a bunch. I'd say probably about 200 times. And sometimes, you know, that can cause the pivot to back out a little bit. A lot of people say, well, they should have those Loctited from the factory. I disagree. I would rather them back out and be able to, you know, adjust them myself easily and, you know, basically get the action exactly the way that I want it, rather than having to mess with breaking through Loctite just to have the opportunity to adjust it. So it didn't look like it went back, but I do want to try this real quick. This is my own. If you haven't seen my video on centering, this is essentially how I do it. I think today, what should we use for that? Do we have anything that's just like immediately handy? I'm just going to use a yellow piece of paper here that has a recipe on it for something. So the reason I'm doing this is because Bestech has such tight tolerances that it's very unlikely that there's anything wrong with this knife. It just needs to be centered. So I have loosened the pivot and I've loosened the body screws on the opposite side of the direction that I want the blade to go. So I'm going to wedge that blade over just a little bit, and what we're going to do is we're going to crank down fairly hard, not too hard because we don't want those bearings to you know, make indentions in there. We're going to tighten these body screws down, and they should be able to tighten slightly further down right at the moment with the pivot being over tightened, and this should help adjust things back to the way that they're supposed to be. A lot of people say when you're doing this, you are bending the blade or whatever. This driver and this piece of paper are not enough force to bend anything. If that's what you think is happening, you are incorrect. Everything is simply being repositioned back to essentially what should be factory spec. So now that we've got it favoring the left side, we're going to slightly loosen that just a little bit. Now we went a little bit back to the right side. Let's see if we can find a sweet spot somewhere in between, maybe slightly more. Here we go. We are very, very in the perfect zone at this point. Let's check the action. How did we do here? Oh boy, we got that glassy, smooth action with that perfect centering. So this is what I was going for and exactly my point. Very unlikely that there's anything wrong with the spec of the knife from the factory. Just needed a quick adjustment there. Sometimes that happens if you find that you tighten your pivot screw down and it's not going back center. It just means that the pivot screw needs to be lightened up a bit and there needs to be a little bit more crankage there on the body screws while the blade is being held over. You can just hold the blade over with your hands. I prefer to use a piece of paper as long as you are not applying too much torque on the pivot, and you need to be especially careful with certain knives that have bearings that can crack, like in Herman knives, right? But as long as you're not applying too much force there to the pivot, then everything will work out perfectly, and your knife should go back to absolutely perfect centering, just like this one did. So that's nice. Anyways, the final price tag of this knife is $289. We have both Off-Grid and Bestech involved with this, so they do both, you know, from a business perspective, they both need to have a certain amount of profit from this. So We also are looking at MagnaCut and titanium. We are not looking at a milled clip. We're not looking at contouring. We are looking at some texturing here, and we're looking at a lot of material in general. I mean, you're looking at a knife that, honestly, there's a lot of knives out there right now that could be made with half of the material that is being used in this knife, and those knives would end up costing over $200 themselves. So in some ways you could think of it like that. How's their HRC in their MagnaCut? The MagnaCut is listed at 62, which I find surprising. Perhaps that's the base of the range and it's 62 to 64 like other Bestech knives, because Bestech, if I'm not mistaken, runs their MagnaCut at bare minimum 62 to 63. And I think I've read a few times 62 to 64, but they have it listed on their site as 62, which can't be correct. It can't be exactly 62 every single time, so it's probably a range. I think I'd like clarification on that. That is the base of what I consider to be optimal, though, 62 HRC, so I can't really complain, and MagnaCut is not a cheap steel. So $289 doesn't absolutely blow me away, but I don't necessarily feel like it's unfair either, considering we have two different parties involved with this, and the thing is just freaking huge. It is very satisfying. It's obviously a very, very well-made knife, and it's also deserving of Off-Grid's Elite title. Is this a knife for everybody? No, it is not. It's very expensive. It's also gigantic. If you're in the market for a premium knife that is also built in a way that's definitely meant to be used, this is not the type of, a lot of people look at it, oh, it's over $100. It's meant to be, mounted above a fireplace. No. This is a knife that's still well within the tier that is meant to be used. Whether or not some people would use it is entirely up to them. That's an individual preference. But as far as the community goes, or the actual buying market, this is easily within the realm of, yeah, a lot of the people buying this stuff are actually using it. So if you do decide to buy it to use it, I think you will very much enjoy it, because it's a great tool. It also is just very, very premium. And so it's got that stuff, which is, it's right around what I expect at that price point, more along the lines of like $250, $260, but still pretty darn good. For people looking for like general, compact EDC, obviously not, right? But if you're in the market for a nice premium knife and you like larger folders that are not going to actually, encumber you, knives that are not going to sort of bog you down while you go about your day, this isn't bad, for bog you down. As far as the build quality, it's very, very good. For those people, I would say if you pick this up, you're going to be very, very happy with it. I'll link this down in the description. You guys can check it out if you want. That's going to be it for me today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.